Hey guys, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. And today we are on Reflection 348. And this is the part two of two of the book An Immense World, How Animals Senses Review the World Around Us by Ed Young.
Great book.
Let's go.
Yeah, we talked about the first one. This book is one of those books where it'll just blow your mind, in terms of getting you out of your element of your own little tiny world of not just humanity, but your own little humanity slice of humanity, and
Mhm.
and to go experience all the other amazing life forms in this world, and to go shit, like everything's pretty freaking amazing. It's such a good book, man. Just I don't know. I when I say something's a good book, sometimes too, I often wonder if people are like, this guy's an idiot. He would recommend this book to me and I'd go read it and I'd be like, this is the most boring ass book I've ever read in my life or something. But for me, it's exciting and I like it. And that's
Well,
why.
we take it with an ounce of salt, and it's all subjective. What you
Right, of
like, what
course.
you don't like it's not going to be the same for everybody else. But at the same time, if you are like Chris, this is a great book. If you're not, then yeah, you be the judge.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's up to you. Actually, well, that's a great segue into this particular reflection because it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder is the reflection title of this
So
particular one.
you cue that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I didn't actually. You did. Yeah. I didn't plan on that.
How do you do that?
I
How
don't
you
know.
make me how you get me to say this?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. I don't know. I really have no idea. That was
I
just a.
I think I think you did that on purpose. I
I
think
did.
you asked the right you say the right thing, and then you cue it up correctly, so I can cue it up for you.
I promise
Because
you that was
I
not
don't know
planned.
why you say, hey, I think it's a great book, but other people don't think about it. I think you queued it up right.
I swear to God, that was not
Good
just.
job. Kudos to you, dude.
Thank you. Um, Now, all right. So I am going to start this off with a question, and I'm going to ask you because I want to get your thoughts. Okay. So, what do you think came first, a flower's beautiful colors or a bee's ability to see them? Which one do you think evolutionarily happened first?
The B.
Why?
Because the B, I think the B with some kind of mutations, able to distinguish different colors, and certain flowers have that particular colors by mutation as well. It's able to get more, I guess, spread in that particular flower color, start to dominate the other colors. The other color who are has very like dull color will die off. So the more vibrant colors of the flower will come, and the bees already have those, and they continue to help the flower propagate.
Right, but I think you just said both happened at the same time. You said so was the flowers colorful first, and then the bees evolved to see the colors, and then they picked the certain colors, and then those colors dominated, or did the bee have the ability to see amazing colors, and then flowers found a way to figure out what those colors were and make themselves, more appealing and turned them into themselves. Maybe they were in black and white, and then they turned themselves into color before. Which one
Hmm.
which one of those do you think happened first? The bee having the ability to see color or flowers having color?
Well, it's hard to say because you're gonna need to have one of them have another purpose, right? Maybe a
Yeah.
color can become a purpose, or B have ability to distinguish colors for a different mechanism, but because of the side effect of this thing, whatever, then it becomes more primary. Just like we're talking about penicillin, right? We don't discover them. We don't actually search for them. It just happens by accident. So a bee may have the ability to see colors for defending the colonies or whatever, and then it happens that it also have a secondary usage, and they see the colors and help propagate the flowers. Because in terms of flowers, um, I mean, unless the flower had another, if they had the color, if the flower had the color, that means there are other animals beside bees that can be able to distinguish them, so they have colors first to actually affect the bees. but one of them has to have a cause and cause of the cause of reason why something is like that.
Right. Which one do you think it is? Which one do you think happened first?
Well, if we're talking about just the animal itself, I think the flower would have to have first because there's more than just bees.
That's what I thought too. That is not what, if you're to believe the book, The Immense World, that is not the case. So bees evolved to be able to see all different ranges of colors, and then flowers adapted to them to make themselves more appealing, and that's where the all the different colors, of
Right.
these
That's what
flowers
I'm saying
came.
is there has to be a causation first because like
Right.
something has to happen because the bee don't naturally be able to create the ability to see colors just because it needs to go and find food. Maybe it has another
Yep.
need, right? And that
Yeah.
need has a secondary have the cat secondary usage. For example, it may
Yep.
be like I told you, maybe it needs to be able to see range of colors because of the ability to navigate or the ability to defend a colony or the ability to distinguish their own colony from another colony. Whatever that is, there is a reason why there's a need that caused them to evolve, and then the plant because it makes the bees attracted these colors that these plants can be more strong in terms of its propagation of its species, therefore becomes stronger, and then
So
more of that species becomes more prominent, dominant.
so the world around, so this is what this book calls a particular phenomenon called sensory exploitation, meaning that the world adapts to what we see, hear, smell, taste to make itself more attractive to us, right? So, in other words, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So, like what we think is attractive and the stuff that we see,
Same thing with
hear,
the human
smell.
beings, just because you look at like how human beings look, right? You only choose an attractive mate, right? And whatever characters and characteristics and personality of that person, that characteristic, the physical traits and the intangible trait will pass on because you
My,
chose you
my
chose your wife for a certain reason. You don't chose.
I so it's really, 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 really funny you just said that because it just makes me laugh. You ever play that game before where it's like you have like five celebrity, like I would be able to hook up with them, kind of things like with like your I don't know if you've ever done it. You ever that you ever heard of that game before where it's like, hey, these are my
No.
five, I get a hall pass, if like Ariana Grande was ever like, hey, like,
Hmm.
I think we should hook up, and I'd be like, oh, okay. My wife would be like, oh, that's fine, you can go hook up with Ariana Grande, I'll accept that, right? So there, I mean, it's just a game, right? You just like say like here's the top five, celebrities, people that other people would know that you would cheat on your wife with, for kind of thing, right? So the irony of all ironies is my all five of my list is basically looks like my wife, and people like make fun of me. They're all small, kind of more olive skinned dish and or Hispanic or Italian or something like of that like coloring, they're all tiny, like I'm not I'm
Hmm.
a person myself, right? I hate, like, Heidi Klum is like hideous to me, like gigantic blonde women are like ugh, like it's I see them and I'm like, I don't know, like that doesn't look good, like, and then my friends are like, oh my God, Scarlett Johansson's like the hottest chick that's ever been made in this world. I'm like, I don't think she's attractive at all. I could and then there's like all these other, my point being is like you're exactly what you're saying, like I clearly have a type, and it's like I like my mind, my eye, immediately is drawn to that, and it, is attracted to that for whatever reason. I don't know, and I don't know, but like it seems like that's all that I end up seeing in this world. Like you could have the hottest, tallest, blondest, most beautiful, Kate Uptons of the world walking past me all day long, and I wouldn't even notice them, and I'd like, I'd be like, oh, whatever, like, they're not really that cool. So it's kind of to your
I
point.
mean, yes, it's the ability for them to pass on the genes is in the ability to attract you, right? So if there are more people, I mean, the thing is, more people in a certain, I guess, characteristic category of sort, like me and you, whatever, we look at a certain type of woman differently.
Yeah,
And that's the same thing as having a flower, and they will adjust. meaning, hey, whatever the size, for example, the size, right? The size of a woman is actually one of the physical traits that you know um human male attracted to. It's
Of
not
course.
too it's not too big,
Yeah.
right? It's not too big, right? It's not too small either. It's like in the size of like maybe like 5'2" to 5'8". You look at those, right?
Yeah.
Like anyone who is like above six, like 6'0", 5'11" or 6, even though they say model is 5'11"
Right.
and 6'0", those guys don't really have too many options in
Oh no, I
terms
mean,
of the member. No
so
one's gonna want it,
yeah. Well,
right?
well, that's not true, but I mean, but somebody will. I mean, because it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right?
But I'm talking about a generalizations of human male category. I just said that,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Right. Right.
because that's because we're talking about evolution. We're talking about like, okay, what genes passes on, because these Kate Upton of the world, they become extinct because only few males will go for them, and then you know what I mean? Because yes, there are people who are gonna like them. That's
Right.
fine. But for them to pass on genes, like their kids and their kids and their kids, eventually the Kate Upton characteristic gonna start to dwindle,
Right.
right? Because you have a lower percentage of matches. Therefore, you're not gonna be able to carry on that more and more. Because if you have, let's say you have the True and the Chris's of the world, right? You're gonna have like 2 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids, right? They're gonna
Yeah.
start dominating the world, and their kids will have 5 kids, 6 kids. Right?
Right.
If the kid up has 1 kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes
And
sense. Yeah.
eventually you're gonna break the game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense. All right. All right. So I think we're on the same page with where I'm going with this, right? Like I was kind of actually it was one of those like aha moments of like, the whole sensory exploitation, right? It's like the, what you find attractive in this world, the world becomes attractive. Like it like opens up it for you. Like it finds you, right? Like it's it already is attractive and it finds you. Everything else just kind of gets blocked out. Kind of similar with like bees, having the ability to see certain colors, and then all of a sudden they see all these colors in these flowers, right? And then they adapt, and the world turns, ends up exploiting their senses, and you see what you want to see, right? Well, so for
And I
me,
would say exploit away.
right, exactly. Well, so I thought I found a lot of like beauty in this sentiment, because for me, like you've known me only ever since Amelia. You never knew me before my daughter, right? And
Right.
the stuff that that I do all the time now, which is like run every day or read and write every single day, like or the stuff that you and I talking about this stuff and having these conversations about this kind of topic every single day of my life, like these weren't things that I found beauty in before, because that was not what the paradigms, that was not what my life was, and like as a matter of fact, like I've told you this before, the idea of me running 10 miles, like I actually remember my wife would do a lot of half marathons, not a lot. She's probably run probably like a half dozen half marathons in her life or something like that. And I remember multiple times during those half marathons, I would like her friends would ask me that she was running with. They're like, "Are you ever gonna do this with your wife?" And I'm like, you're athletic, you're in shape, like what?" Like, and I'm like, "Fuck no, I'm never fucking doing that." I was like, "That's the dumbest thing ever." I was like, "I'll be on the sidelines, with mimosas and cheering you guys on as you go drive, go run by, and I'll be a cheerleader and whatever." And that's exactly what I did. I remember one year she was running the mini marathon here in Indianapolis, and her and her mom and I and her sister, I prepared a cooler full of like mimosas and champagne bottles and orange juices and different kinds of juices or whatever. And I went out there, we camped out, got a good spot on the route, and we just popped champagne all day long and drank mimosas, waiting for people to run by. I was like, this is my jam. Like this is what I would rather be doing. I mean, I don't want to fucking go run 13.2 miles, and I'm like, that's stupid. Like whatever. Or 13.1, sorry. Anyway, so this and writing, like never, I don't think I've ever, besides writing business case studies or writing emails or whatever, like I mean, I've never creatively written in my life, ever. Not I can't even. I don't even know that I ever did it in school. Did we have creative writing assignments in school? I don't even know. I mean, like maybe
I avoid those classes.
I did too. I'm not didn't just write for fun. Like that was never, I would write for
I don't want to write because I had to because somebody forces to me to write, and
exactly.
that's it's like the chore, like it's like the I guess the most hated and most procrastinated chores I've ever
Yep.
taken on. I hate those assignments, like
I
right.
agree. I was actually I actually always got it was one of those classes that I always got like A's in, of like any writing or English classes, like because I've always had the skills to do it. It just wasn't appealing to me, like I just never had fun doing it. I just didn't creatively write, right?
Mhm.
Unless like I said, it was for like a business or like a marketing thing or a business kind of related case studies, whatever. That stuff I did a lot of creative writing and I enjoyed that, but like I never did it for just random day to day stuff. So saw no beauty in that at all in any way, shape, or form. And then reading, learning every day. Like I mean, I've always loved learning every day, but it was more like learning from like politics or something, or reading the Wall Street Journal, or reading some I don't know article about a case study about business or something like that. Like that was what I always loved to learn about. I like reading a book for fun, like just a book just to randomly of my curiosity. I mean, it had probably been 10 years. The last book that I can remember, before Amelia that I remember reading was Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. That was probably
Mhm.
the only fucking book that I can remember reading in like a 10-year period of time between my last book that I read in college, which was The Curious Enlightenment of Professor Karatat, to like the Outliers book was probably 8 years, and then it was probably another 4 or 5 years before I read another book. I mean, it just didn't happen. I just didn't do that stuff, right? So now paradigms change, right? Obviously, like this is me before my daughter. After my daughter, everything was ugly. I didn't see like you threw away life sucked. Like it was like, if I saw vivid colors, reading a case study for business or trying to start a new marketing plan or whatever, like, and that was something that was appealing to me, I didn't give a fuck anymore about any of that stuff, right? Like
Mhm.
pretty much everything in my world died. But as things were starting to regrow again, I found myself doing these activities. I don't know why. I don't know how. I really don't. I mean, I can't ever explain to you why I did that. I was like just trying to stay as balanced for my family as I possibly could, just because we were going through such a tough time for Amelia, for my wife, for myself, just to try to fucking make it through. And these were the things I ended up doing, right? And all of a sudden, as time went on, I started to find more and more beauty in these things, and it seemed like now all different kinds of books are opening up before me, all different kinds of creative writing things that I wanted to write about, all different opportunities to meet people like True and talk about this kind of stuff, and then go play more games of the games that I love to go play, or go leave a job to go do a Club Any Light program to help mentor people to have, whatever. Yeah. All these things that I before would have been like, that's fucking stupid. People don't do that, right? Like, I don't like running. Like, I don't like doing any of this stuff. Anyway, it was along the way, I started to, realize, obviously, as you know, like the whole living for two thing with me, that I wasn't
Mhm.
just doing this alone anymore. Like when I was doing this stuff, I was like, hey, I actually kind of do really like this stuff. And then when I had that feeling, then I figured out who was with me doing the stuff with me every single day. And that was my daughter. And that was my way of figuring out, that was the big aha where I was like, oh, okay, well, this is now a beautiful thing because I get to spend time with my daughter, and this is something that I will never stop doing because this is a way for me to stay connected with her. And lo and behold, here's where we are, right? So like, it really is, it's kind of like the Alchemist, right? Uh um the universe, um when you want something, the whole universe aligns to try to make it happen, right? That is the case, right? Like you just start seeing different colors. You start seeing, it's the sensory exploitation. Like, I mean, I now know what I think is beautiful in this world, and I know what I care a lot about, and that found me. I don't know how that found me. I don't really care at this point in time, but I see a lot of beauty in that now, and I see a lot of beauty in my relationship with my daughter these days, and that's something that I really really value, and I'm going to keep doing that. So anyway, yeah, that was the reflection. Love to get your thoughts.
So I think, a lot of times, because we as human beings have the ability to adapt, right? And I think this is a little bit different than the bees, because the bees, they already have like one particular sensory, and their basic instincts are very, very like clear, and they're fixed. Like, hey,
Right.
I have the ability to sense colors, and I'm looking for flower because the flower has nectars and whatever. But because human being has the ability to adapt, sometimes your circumstances make you adapt to something that isn't you. And I see this a lot in the modern life today, is
Hmm.
because people do things just because they thought that's what they want. And
Right.
that's the big difference is, I thought I want to be this business person, this leaders of sort, or whatever that people say, hey, when you go up, you got, or whatever we've been trained and been conditioned to think a certain way. We've been taught in school to be in line, right?
Hmm.
To be in one place until you are giving permission by an authority for you to act on something. You are not supposed to act um, out of your own volitions, especially in the Asian culture. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to inconvenience anyone. This is one of the biggest difference I see in terms of the Asian culture and American culture is that you're not supposed to ask questions, because when you ask
Interesting.
questions, you inconvenience somebody, right? And but you think about that, when you were a young kid, when I was a young kid, right? I, for whatever reason, been conditioned to feel bad about asking questions, so I don't ask questions. But
Huh.
when I get older, I wish people would ask me questions. I'm
Right.
willing to give you answers that I know, and to me, that is against human nature.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
against who we're supposed to be. But because we are conditioned to think in a certain way, and our adaptability makes that, okay, we, this is why you and I get to the point where when we grow up, we say, hey, grits, grinds, and eat the frog first. It sounds, it sounds, that's the right way to do things.
Sure.
You did it, right?
I
I
can
did it.
embrace the suck and find beauty in that a little bit.
Yes,
Maybe,
yes.
like maybe,
That's
maybe,
that
I
that's
don't know.
what we did, right? That's
Right.
what we
Right.
did. When you did it, I did it, right? I
Right.
did it to the point where, I realized that, I'm 40 years old, and I said, what the fuck am I doing? Right? And to me, this is what I'm
This
saying
sucks.
is,
I
some
embrace it, and it sucks. It does suck.
it does suck, but the
Yeah.
thing is, the sad part is that to some people, they have never realized the suckiness of it. They continue to do, because whether or not, because like I say, your strength is also your weakness. Because if somebody has more willpower, right, than me, then they wouldn't have realized, hey, it sucks, but I'm strong. I can endure it. So they endure, and to the point where, well, you're at the end of your life. Well, to endure, can you do it? Yeah, I can endure for another couple of days, but I get no chance to reverse course.
Right.
So having a strong will is a good thing, which can also be a bad thing. So I think the I guess the beauty in the is in the eye of the beholder. Sometimes that could be manipulated in a way
Yeah.
based
Oh, for
on
sure.
based on our strength, which is
That that's the
ability to
sensory.
adapt,
That's the sensory
sensory
exploitation. Yeah,
exploitations.
yeah, right. It's what if you're told to embrace the suck, all of a sudden everything around you will be the world around you will adapt to you'll hear Jocko Willnicks of the world, will be your voices, that you
and
follow. The
and
people
you
that you meet along the way will be all the people that are,
and you
you
will
know,
hold
fi-
up David Goggins'
yeah,
statue and
and say, stay hard, get hard, and you're like, what do you mean, man? Like, how are you gonna tell me to go run 100 miles on two broken shins, and you think that's good advice? Like, well, you'll find out what you're made of, like you'll really find out what the limits of human potential is. Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I mean, you found beauty in running 100 miles in the desert sun, at 120-degree heat. Uh, that
But that's the sad part though, Chris. That's what I'm saying. Is the sad part is we are in a trance. So like I told you, if you were get into a time machine and go back to my 20-year-old self, and you can convince this knucklehead of a 20-year-old to see the way you see today,
No, it's
I don't
impossible.
think you can do it. It's
No,
impossible.
I
And so to me, it's like I
100%
don't
know that.
have the answer to that
Yep.
because I was in a trance. I would say that I got to go hard because I got to stay hard, right?
Stay hard. You got to get hard and then stay hard. Yeah.
Exactly.
I,
So
I mean,
how did you
what
get
was
out of
my
it?
what was my well, I mean, an atomic bomb, right? Like, and I don't mean that to be a good thing, but like, because like my dream, what I saw a lot of beauty in was trying to start a company, a software company.
Mhm.
Go get funding, go the VC route, go do your 100 pitches until you can find that one person that you magically,
Yeah,
believes in
you
you,
but
like whatever, right? Like, I mean, like, you know how hard it's been for me to set up this pickleball venture?
how hard?
Yeah,
Not
like
very
on a
hard.
scale of 1 to 10, you know how challenging it's been for me to secure the financing, to get people to want to help me, to get.
Probably one or two.
Yeah, it's been almost comically easy. Like to go, well, I mean, I have people beating down my door saying, "Hey, I'll help. How can I help? How can I help? I want to help. Hey, how can I help?" And I'm like, "Okay, like, oh, let me figure it out. Like I don't know, it's almost like comical versus the other side of it where I had to go beat down people's doors to be like, I got the greatest idea ever, for
Slam.
exactly. I don't know. I just don't believe that you have the experience to do blah 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 blah. And we've done this and this and this, and I'm pretty sure that this is like, only $100 million opportunity, and we only look at $1 billion, things like, and you're like,
Oh.
okay, like, fine. I guess I just got to keep trying. Got to go find that. Got to go find that right VC that'll give me, that opportunity, so I can go put on my LinkedIn profile that I'm the CEO of a company that raises funds for a living. Because that's really what most venture capital companies are. They're basically just show other people, hey, I can raise money. Hey, I just got my Series A funding. Like that's what they celebrate. They're, most businesses would go, we're profitable. Like, oh my God, like, we have a lot of customers. Like, this is amazing. No, no, not in that world. It's like, we just raised our 10th round of funding. We haven't made a single dime ever, but oh my God, guys, we just got a $50 billion valuation. Holy shit. And like, and we got Andreessen Horowitz to give us, $250 million, like, oh my God, like, this is amazing, like that's, like, I don't even understand it. Like, but I was seduced by it. I was sucked in. Like that was the podcast that I listened to. Oh my God! Like you want to talk about learning? The learning that I did before. How I built this podcast. I listened to it religiously. Religiously. Like I mean, it was like at least almost every day in the car, and to and from work every single day. Like I would listen to how I built this. And then if I had any other time in the middle of the day, I would try to do another episode or something like that. I mean, I went through. I mean, but like I still like the podcast because I like the stories and they're great stories and everything. But that was the stuff that I was finding beautiful in my life, beforehand. But to your question before is how do you shift that? I mean, honestly, like I don't think that anything, and I'm not saying that I want that, like, because this is a very delicate topic, right? Like where my life is today versus what I'm describing to you before. There's a huge hole that an atomic blast that took away my daughter that turned the direction into another direction, right? Like I don't want that to happen to me or to anybody. So I'm not saying that I don't know. We've had this debate, you and I, forever about how does one's what you see as beauty in this world change, because you basically have to kill off everything you found as beautiful before, right? I mean, it's all got to go away.
Well, I think there's a thought of beauty and the real beauty because if I were to continue down that path, like if you continue down the path of your VC funding in your company, eventually you will find that exhaustion.
Right. I was.
And
I was
so
outright.
to me, there is a really a fine line between what you thought was beauty and what real beauty really is to you.
That's true.
And I think like we eventually when like I say, there is a certain limit to how much willpower a person have. Some people have more, some people have less. But when you do something that you thought is beauty, will eventually exhaust your sources of willpower.
Yep.
Because to a person, like when they do the VC funding, they may go, okay, I do this one time, two times, 3 times, 4 times, then I retire, right? There's a reason why they wish for the day when they cash out.
Right.
Why do you think
Well,
you
that's why
want? I mean, if it's fun for you, why are you cashing out?
somebody actually they asked me that at that indie pickleball club meeting with their board of directors. One of
Mhm.
them asked me after we were already like way deep into the conversation, they were like, I'm just kind of curious, what's your exit strategy here? And I go, I don't have an exit strategy. It's like I don't want to sell this place. Like, why would I'm successful and I like pickleball. I enjoy making money for my family at the same time, and I like being around that culture and those people. Like, I why would I want to sell that? Like, I mean, and he was like, that was my answer to him, and he goes, "That's that's fair." He's like, "That's a great answer." Like, oh, okay, I don't know what you wanted me to say. It was like, I mean, I'm gonna build this thing up to 1,000 members, and then I'm gonna go, sell it off
Senora.
for $12 million, and then and say sayonara and go retire on a beach in Mexico and drink Mai Tais,
Yeah.
and never play pickleball ever again. And like that. No, it's not gonna be the case. I'll probably just if I did sell it, I would probably be like,
What's
oh,
the point of building it if you don't enjoy the fruit of your labor? I mean,
exactly. I mean,
that's my point is, but that's what I'm saying is there there is a really like downside to having this ability to adapt, and you can adapt to something that you think is good. But I'm saying is the true beauty will continue to give you energy, and to me that's a subtle difference between what you conditioned to think, what you really think. And for us, we get to the point where we exhaust all of our willpower reserves.
right.
Like because you have to. I mean, talking about you are thrown into the NICU for in the most like worst time ever during COVID, right? I mean, everything just pile on you. So you had to use all of your willpower, and you get to the point where you have completely depleted that willpower. So any kind of rosy glass you wore, it got to be broken. It got to be taken down. And when you were taking down your rosy glasses, you start to see the real world. And the real world, the eyes, the beauty is in eye beholder, is the real thing that you see. Same thing for me is I continue to push forward and push forward and push forward
Yep.
in this entrepreneurship, company creations and all these things. Eventually, I just don't feel like my health, right? But I told you my health declines so much, like it becomes unbearable.
Yep.
And I said, what am I doing any of these for? Every day, all day, some kind of a human drama that I have to deal with. And
Right.
I don't like it. I avoid that at all costs.
I love
And that
drama.
is just eating me. I mean, I'm lucky I don't have an ulcer. I'm lucky I don't get cancer from it.
Yeah.
I mean, my my only I guess the bad thing happens to me is that I eat too much and eat bad food and I get diabetes. But
Right. That's not
uh,
an
I,
only. That's a big thing. I mean,
it's a big thing, and
that's a huge thing.
it took a toll. It took a toll on me, on my
Yeah.
body physically, but also mentally. And eventually, all of my willpower is exhausted, and so completely, I cannot continue to wear that rosy glass anymore. So I have to take it
Right.
off. And when I take it off, I look at what are the real things that make me feel comfortable and at peace with myself, and feel like I'm like happy and enjoy the existence of myself.
Right.
Because like I said, you most of the time your existence of yourself is comfortable. But if you think about the future, it become uncomfortable because you get all anxiety and all the things and all this chemical in your body start to produce to compensate for this feeling that you have. And
Right.
I think that's a big difference in terms of when you have been conditioned to see the world in a certain light, then the expectations of those centuries, it's fake.
Oh man, like you're triggering all kinds of memories of I remember the first like couple months that I came back to work at Salesforce after, after we lost Amelia and after,
Hmm.
I spent a few months on bereavement leave and came back. And I just remember the conversations that people were having about these so important conversations with
Hmm.
with everything was so important. Like, we're talking really really important numbers with like important people, and we're taking people out to dinner, or we're worried about pipeline and and how the company's gonna be perceived in the public markets and blah 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 blah. And I was like, I swear to you, I was just like, this is not important. Like this isn't remotely important. This is almost comical how dumb we sound thinking
Mm-hmm.
this is important.
Yes.
And I was like,
Everything sounds fake, right?
right. Yeah, it's
Everything
almost,
sound made up and sound fake because like who make up these stupid numbers, right?
but they take
What
it so
what is
seriously.
has to do with life?
It doesn't have anything, and they take it so seriously too. Like, and they've convinced
They would
themselves that
throw
there's
people on the bus to make the numbers.
oh, for sure. I mean,
They-
this is and they've told
Somebody just
themselves
make up
that,
a numbers and they wouldn't throw anyone on the bus to make numbers. And on the flip side, they say we're all Hana and we
right. It's harder to get it's harder to get a job here than it is to get into Harvard. The acceptance rate is actually like 1.3%, and Harvard's is like 3% or whatever the hell it is, or something like that, right? And you're like, well, okay, we all must be pretty exclusive. Like we all must be pretty doing something right to be able to work at a company like this and to be able to, to have all the benefits that we have and have all the,
But the thing is, we can also say that we as a company have even a low acceptance rate than Salesforce.
that's very true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You think about it.
Yeah.
It's perspectives.
We don't even take applications these days,
Yeah.
well, actually that's not true, but I mean, well, no, I guess it is kind of true. Because we're not, honestly, side note,
If
this
you
is
accept 0 out of 1, what is the percentage rate? You say it's perspective. So
right.
this
Yeah, no, it's true.
bullshit number, it's all
Right.
fake. It means nothing.
I agree. All of it. It was just so eye-opening. And I remember writing about this in the book too. The first couple of times I hung out with some of my friends that were like auxiliary friends of mine, that were like, they weren't like super close friends, but like they were close friends. Good, let's call them great acquaintances, right? People that I've known for a really long time that are good people, but like the conversations that I remember having with these people when I'm like, what are we fucking talking about? Like, what are we talking about? Like, this is who gives a shit? Like, like this is stupid. Like, I don't want to waste my time having this conversation with you. Like, it is a waste. Like, I think that's probably one of the biggest things of when you start to like, as what you're describing, like humans can be duped, to go down a road that they don't even know is the right road. I think bees, to your point, they're whatever the right road is that they're supposed to do, like a beaver must dam. No, them being attracted to go damming is what they're supposed to do. I mean, like they don't really like what
It's
they're
harder to distract them because they don't have the ability to adapt. So they say, I have
right.
only one track mind, so I'm looking for water. I'm looking to build a dam. A bee said, hey, I'm looking for flower and I'm looking for nectar. That's all I'm doing. You can't really distract them. But for
I
human
guarantee
beings,
fucking to you, you will find beauty in the Salesforce ecosystem if you work in it long enough, and you're gonna go, hey, it's all right. Like I make good money. I've been able to do, I've been able to work with a lot of really successful companies, and I feel like we've made an impact on some cool projects, and
you made a dent in the universe.
made a dent in the universe. Like look what we've done at Salesforce. I mean, there's 80,000 people that have really good high paying jobs and
I
take care
mean,
of their
basically,
families, and
is you enable companies to sell me shit that I don't need.
right. Yeah, I mean, that's really what we do.
You're just enabling companies to sell me more shit that I don't need.
Yep. I mean, but that's really
that is your dent in the universe. That's what you do. It's like,
yeah,
okay, your dent in the universe.
yeah. I mean, so but to that exact point, I guess where I was going with that too is exactly what you just said. Is like, you can convince humans have the ability to convince themselves that even stuff that, like you said, like that we don't even care about is beautiful in some way, shape, or form, and then the world opens up and it starts to just show us more and more opportunities of things that we think are beautiful. But like, think this is like the central thesis of almost of Company is most of the time what we think what we care about isn't what we actually care about, because we never spend the time thinking about what we actually fucking care about. Like that is the central underlying core thesis of Clubany is spend the time to get to know yourself if you're gonna lead anybody, you know, you need to know how to lead your fucking self first, right? And you can't lead yourself unless you know yourself, you know, and then when you go walk that path, and then other people will go, oh, that person really knows themselves. I want to go follow that person, right? You know, like because that's what a leader is, right? You know, somebody
But
that
I
knows
think leadership is a
are.
myth.
It is. I mean, the only person you can lead is yourself. Like, you know, I mean, I no, I don't think it's a myth when it comes to other people. Oh, sorry, I think it is a myth when it comes to other people. I don't think it's a myth when it comes to yourself. Like, but you can't lead yourself unless you know yourself, fucking self. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't. You have to do the work to figure out who you are and what you like and what you care about and why you want to be here and why you don't want to be here. And then tie all that together, then go down that road every single day, and then the universe will open up in front of you, and you'll find, you know, things all and people all day long that are going down the same road that you're going down, but it feels good, and it feels genuinely like that you're going in the direction that you want to go because you know that's who you are. Like when like a lot of people go to Salesforce just because they think it's an exclusive company. A lot of people go to Harvard just because they think that, well, you know, I should go to Harvard. Like people say that it's important. Like I should go to Harvard. You know, like that. I doubt that there's very many people that go to Harvard that apply. They even apply to go to Harvard. They go, I'm going to Harvard because this is the place that did. I can't even think of a reason why Harvard would be. I want to I want to be a bio nanotechnology, blah 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 blah. Like, you know,
But biotechnology is invented in Kansas State University.
there you go. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know the reason why I specifically would need to go to Harvard, but maybe there is somebody out there that's like a teenager that understands themselves so well. They're like, I specifically need to go to Harvard because they have the best people and community.
It's like
that
carbon
does
60.
this. You know,
Carbon 60. Who discovered carbon 60?
I have no idea.
Robert Curry, Rice University.
Oh, there you go. Hey.
Right?
Oh, I got an example of somebody that should go to Harvard. Is Colin Jost. You know Colin Jost? You know SNL, Saturday Night Live. He's the
You
married
talked
Scarlett
to him.
Johansson. Huh?
Yeah.
The
The one with the
read,
punchable face?
yeah, the punchable face. Yeah, Colin Jost. Right. So he went to Harvard. And he basically didn't even study at all when he went to Harvard because he joined the Harvard Lampoon. That was what he wanted to do his whole life. He was like, when he was growing up, he was like, I want to write about comedy and I want to go to Harvard because I want to get into the Harvard Lampoon and I want to be around those people so I can help, you know, my comedy writing career. Okay, that actually made sense. Like he knew himself, he knew what he really liked, and he found a community of people that really enjoyed that. And look what he's doing now, and he seems to be pretty happy with what he's doing. You know, my point being is like that's a great example of somebody that went to Harvard for probably the right reasons. It had nothing to do with education at Harvard. It was a subset, small community of people that was, you know, that he knew that he could go find there that have, you know, that lived their lives and talked about the stuff that he cared about, right? Like, so there you go. That's the reason. That's the reason why you should go to Harvard. And nobody would ever
I mean,
say
everything has its purpose. I mean, so if you understand yourself, then you can apply that specific purpose to what aligns with you. But my point of bringing it up is that we are conditioned to follow and be exploited by these sensories without even knowing what makes sense to us, what aligns with us.
right.
And that's the sad part is you don't see that until you exhaust all of your willpower. And by that time you have been in too deep, you have spent too much time, you know, chasing a thing you shouldn't be chasing.
Agreed. Why did I work in why did I work in the high tech industry? True.
Because you live in a high-tech area.
I don't even know why. I thought you could make a lot of money. It seemed like these people had fun doing their job, and I like doing some of these things, and that's probably about it. I mean, I don't think there was no intentionality behind it, right?
I mean, you can probably make more money owning a pickleball club than work at Salesforce. It's just that no one told you that.
I know,
no
right?
one told you that. People say, "Hey, go work Salesforce, you make more money."
Well, the thing is, to get a job at Salesforce, you don't spend $300,000 on a build out to go make money, right? Like you just hopefully you gotta rise up in the ranks and then you get an opportunity to go work at Salesforce. So there's no upfront cost to getting a job at Salesforce, right? Like so it's like, oh, okay, well I'll see
Well,
if
neither
it's
is
easy.
neither
It's easy.
is getting a pickleball club up and running. It's not your money.
Well, that's true. Well,
right?
no,
You
I mean,
borrow from your dad, right?
not all of it's my money. I
Well,
mean,
I'm just saying it's not your money.
yeah, no, I mean it is a big chunk of it is my money, but yeah, I mean,
Well, because you wanted to, because you had the money.
right, yeah,
But you
yeah.
didn't have the money. You probably
I
get
didn't have
another
to.
one.
Oh yeah.
You gotta get another one from your uncle. You even have you even asked your uncle?
No, I haven't even asked. I haven't asked anybody.
Exactly.
You know what?
Exactly.
This is the I told
So
you how
don't tell me you need a chunk
I
of
only
money.
asked one investor outside of my well, he's in my personal network, but like I only asked
Mhm.
one person, hey, do you want to do this? This is how much money I need. And they were like, yeah. I knew who to ask. Like I knew exactly who to ask, right? Because
But my point
I
is, you
already had
didn't
them in
need
my
it.
network.
You didn't need to put out your own money. So
Well, I did. I mean, I did put my own money into a big chunk of this,
because you had the money.
because
I'm
I
just
had to,
saying,
but I didn't have to.
you
Right,
didn't
right,
have to. You
right.
didn't
But
have to put it on the money. So don't say that you have to have a bunch of money
oh
to
no, you
start
don't.
a pickleball club.
That's true. All right. So the
So
irony
it's
of all that,
probably easier for you to go and get some money for the $350,000 bill out than to get a job at Salesforce.
it is. It was,
It
and it
probably take
is.
you more work too.
This is what I was about ready. This is exactly what I was about ready to say. Was do you know what High Alpha does? You remember High Alpha, the company
Yeah, yes, yes.
that does the VC, kind of studio,
Mm-hmm.
incubator, I guess, if you will. Do you know how much money that High Alpha gives you if you get accepted into their if they anoint you as the CEO and they pair you up with the CTO? Do you know how much money they give you?
5K?
I think it's like 350.
250? Okay.
Yeah. And that it goes to include in your salary, your CTO salary, basically, and then they give you the infrastructure of like HR services and like office space and whatever. And I think you rent it from them for like 10,000 a month or something like that. Or I don't know. It's whatever, something like that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like you don't have to necessarily take on. It's basically two co-founders, and a year's worth of runway. It may be 500,000. I can't remember exactly what it is, but either way, it's not much more than what we're talking about right now. And like to get to do that,
But the
you
thing is, when you build a pickleball club, there's a physical asset that is
yeah.
giving people value.
Oh yeah.
For $350,000 for two fucking dudes to sit there and say, "Oh, I'm
What do we
thinking
want to
about
build?
some blah blah blah," like
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
you're not providing any value.
That's
I mean,
that's
you zero value for $350,000. But if you have a people club, people actually, hey, there's a place we can go play, right? You actually has physical value right then out the gate.
right.
I mean, and like I say, it's probably gonna take you more work to even apply and figure out how to pitch to the high alpha
Oh,
company to get you into the fucking thing and have to
no,
compete against
you
like
have to have a pedigree to even apply. Like, what I mean? You have to have like a serious pedigree. To even for them to even consider you having success as running your own venture, because you got to be really you got to know the industries really well. It's got to be an idea that matters to you. It's got to
I can
be
make more money by owning a bubble tea. You know bubble tea.
yeah, I know,
Yeah, I mean those guys making 300 grand profit.
That's right. So like, but that's the thing is these.
I mean, you go and you get, hey, I'll fucking own a Popeyes franchise. That's like
Right.
$2 million. I go open a Jackson Hewitt
Yep.
tax filer. It's $1.5 million a year and working 3 months.
Yep. Right.
Right,
Yeah.
and
You're right. Yeah.
for you to go to high alpha, it take you like, oh, you fucking need a pedigree. You have to spend like so number of years with so number of experience, blah blah blah, and that's two fucking guys.
Right.
350 grand for two fucking guys. Plus, you have to pay rent.
Well, I think you get office space because they have office space, but I think you
But
get.
someone have to pay for it.
Well, the high alpha does. I mean, I think that it just comes with
Okay.
but either way, but the point is what we're getting at is like it's so hard to go get a
You just made it
VC.
hard.
You just made it hard, right? Like yeah, right. It's not. It's and that would anyway. It doesn't matter. We're going down a rabbit hole. All right, we are. I'm cutting this one off because it's late, and I asked for a 10 o'clock hard stop. We are 17 minutes past that.
I say it up to you.
I know. I knew it was going to happen, but we're good. All right, let's put a pin on this.
You can always hope. Always dream.
All right, the question we can leave with everybody is, how has your world changed to reveal something beautiful that you didn't even know existed? So and keep your eyes open, right? And figure out if what you do is attractive to you today is actually attractive to you. I think
Yes.
that's, that's probably the
The
most
real beauty, the real
right,
beauty in the eye
real
of the
beauty,
beholder,
right?
not the rosy glass.
Right. Not what you think matters. Know what you know, like,
Right.
and know it. Anyway, all right. Thanks for joining, and we will see you all tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Good night, everyone.